Thank you very much, Mr. Callum, for joining us today on this little interview. I'm just going to go straight into the questions for today. And my first question for you, having been in Commvault and in Singapore, I was just wondering if you can share with us quickly how has things been for Commvault since the pandemic started, and how are you guys coping down there in Singapore?
So as an organization, we've obviously not been working in the office. We've been working remotely. In fact, that's pretty much us globally. What I'll say, actually, is I'm incredibly pleased and proud of how the team have worked remotely. I think that we've had to adapt and adopt on our feet. Fortunately, we're an IT company, so we've been mobile. We've been able to, enjoy the luxury of having our own backup and recovery products, mobilizing our own teams. So that's been incredibly powerful. So in that regard, I think we've had a very, very strong commitment to working from home and having a mobile telecommuting workforce anyway. So in that sense, I'll have to tell you, the interruption has been relatively minimal. Our priority, I think, has been more around our customers. And we've had a lot of customers who know the importance of data backup, data management, data recovery, as well as managing endpoint security. And obviously, the dark side of data protection hasn't slept. In fact, it's probably awoken. And a lot of our customers have needed to be a lot more versed and aware of what they've needed to do. So we've had to be very responsive in helping them.
All right, that's fantastic. All right, I'll just go into today's discussion and ask you the questions. So my first question for you is, well, having said what you said, Singapore as well, and a lot of countries are now looking at contact tracing as the best method for detecting and following up COVID-19 patient movements. Now, when it comes to wearables for contact tracing, several countries in this region are already looking to implement them. But at the same time, there's always concerns about privacy. Now, how does Commvault deal with these kind of concerns?
I think, firstly, as we've seen over the last, not even 5 years, my wife, as an example, the work that she does in managing and using data as part of her fitness regime, wearables have very much become a part of our life. And I think that what's exciting is a lot of the things that we would have typically seen in aeronautics or different, even the military have become, GPS is a great example of that. One of the things I did last night, actually, I went out, I took my phone and I used WhatsApp to turn on my contact feature so that my wife knew where I was because I was out exercising. It's incredibly empowering. I think that the exciting thing from my perspective about living in, I would even say in Asia Pacific, not just in Singapore, but from an Asia Pacific perspective, the embrace, the appeal of embracing not just wearables. You could argue that a phone is a wearable, and the fact that it's on you all the time and it has this enormous amount of data. It's been about educating people on the worth and the benefit of these as things that can make our life so much safer and so much easier. When they launched the contract tracing application in New Zealand and Australia, the uptake was incredible. It shocked legislative control. Governments could not believe how many people embraced it as a means to ensure their own safety. So I think a big part of embracing technology, and it started in a world where you used it for your own personal benefit. The fact that we now have governments, you now have agencies that are making these a lot more accessible. And by the way, they have stood these things up. There were applications that came to the fore very, very quickly. And I think it's been really important, especially when you're talking about generations, right? You're talking about, our generation, we've grown up in a world of IT. Email has been a part of our life. If you think about the older generations who are very much at risk when it comes to coronavirus, they are the ones that we're primarily keen to protect. It's been about making sure that they have comfort and understanding the benefit of this and the way it's going to be used. So with that, a lot of governments have responded well to their obligation to educate people, but so also give people the comfort on how that data will be used and when in fact it will be deleted once it's been used for what it's been designed for.
I mean, yeah, that's very interesting what you said right there. But at the same time, if you look at Singapore, for example, they recently said that they do not intend to rely on Google and Apple's contact tracing technology, but rather on their own Trace Together app. Now, are these signs that governments are not entirely convinced on the privacy of their citizens' data, especially when it comes to big vendors like these guys using it?
You know what? I thought about that as a, conceptually. We have a lot to do with GovTech, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with GovTech here in Singapore, but they are, in essence, the agency in Singapore that are entrusted with the task of determining the right technologies that are to be used in the local economy, right?
Yes, that's right.
So, in other words, you have a government whose job it is to govern. You therefore have a government who relies on GovTech and the faculties or the arms of that part of the organization to provide them with that background. So I think quite the opposite. I think the government, certainly the Singapore government, have been one of the first in the world to bring to the fore. But I think what I've seen, and I think that they would proclaim, is that their view is very agnostic. In other words, they will look at what's the best one for the market. They also will ensure they're in a position where they have the ability to choose the partners that they align with to make sure it's the right thing for the community.
Yeah, that's true indeed. All right. So moving on to my next question. I mean, it's very interesting that you said that the government will look what's best for the community, but when it comes to businesses, it's also a different ball game for that matter. I mean, COVID-19 has brought about many changes when it comes to the whole working lifestyle and this whole new normal. But what are the steps businesses can take to strengthen their data protection strategy?
Can you repeat that just one more time? I'm sorry, you broke up.
Oh, sorry. Like I was saying, I mean, businesses have another thing to look at as well. So when it comes to their data protection strategy, what steps can businesses take?
Right. So look, it's a good question. And I think that one of the things we at Commvault do, which is, I've been in IT for 22 years. That's a long time. When I go back to when I began in IT, you would find that vendors, in fact, would often operate in isolation. What you see now is a much more prevalent strategy is that companies, just like Commvault, have strategic relationships with more than one vendor, more than one system integrator. In fact, we become more like a solution provider. So yes, you know what? We spend a lot of money on research and development, but a big part of what we have an obligation to do as a company, especially as a company that is up and to the right, when you look at things like Forrester's Wave or Gartner's Magic Quadrant, we pride ourselves on being a market-leading product. Therefore, we have an obligation to make sure our customers know what our products do and that our customers provide us feedback on what they think they need from our product so we can continue to develop it. That's why we're releasing updates on a quarterly basis with new features, new functionality for the sake of our customers. So as part of that, you then have two separate byproducts. One is the responsibility of us to educate our customers, to make sure that they know what our products are and how they're going to use them, and to help them also bring their own people, their own employees on the same journey. So everything you've talked about on this call is a massive cultural change. In fact,
that's true.
I mean, sum it up more than that, Aaron, it's change. And
that's right.
You could debate whether it's change for the good or for the bad. What's very, very important is that organizations bring their employees on the journey of the fact that this is change for safety's sake, not change for change's sake. So we have a very significant education program. We have a significant pre-sales and post-sales team that work in conjunction with our partner base so that when we're talking about not just backup and recovery, we're talking about how people can actually use the data that they're capturing now. Tracing is a great example of that. Contact tracing provides us with this wealth of data now. So I can actually go and look online and see where I've been. A good example, Aaron, was that situation that arose in New Zealand, where two people went into New Zealand. They were provided compassionate leave to not spend the entire 2 weeks in quarantine. Unfortunately, it didn't have a positive outcome. However, the government was able to respond very, very quickly because of the fact that they had all of this contract tracing data. They went to 300 people in the space of 48 hours to determine if they'd been impacted, were they infected, and who had they touched. Oh my gosh, if you go back 24 months, this would have been unheard of.
We would have been, yeah, can't do this kind of stuff, exactly. And having said that as well, when it comes to businesses in Southeast Asia as well, contact tracing gives them the right, gives them data for them to make use and all that. But are they well equipped with the right technologies to manage, protect, and stay on top of their data, and to even make sense of this?
Well, actually, you know, Southeast Asia is an interesting region, right? You and I both live in Southeast Asia. You couldn't get a more diverse, colorful, culturally widespread part of the globe. You have different languages, you have different religions, you have different time zones, you have different technology rates of adoption. I can tell you that we work very, very closely with Astra Daihatsu motor vehicle company. They are here in Asia. They're a very significant customer of ours. A big part of what they came to us to do was exactly what we've talked about around data management. It was about consolidating an environment. It was about cost savings. It was about differentiating in an already competitive market. And it was about using data in order to differentiate the organization in a very, very competitive market already. We have many customers like that across the Southeast Asian market that now, because of whether it's the benefits of labor costs in one country, whether it's the benefits of resourcing in another country, they span globes, they span many, many continents. So because of that, you now have organizations that are very diverse and very disparate, and their networks are very flat. No longer do you have a three-tiered architecture sitting in one data center in KL. Now you may have aspects of a SaaS application spanning the globe, because that's where the R&D teams for each of the modules of that application sit. And you know, a great example, I was talking to a gentleman today from Airbus. Airbus is a great example of an organization that uses many, many parts of the world to draw on research and development, as well as the fact that they have an incredibly, by definition, mobile fleet. So not only is it about building an airplane, it's about maintaining an airplane, and it's about maintaining the crew, et cetera, et cetera. So what that's meant is that organizations now are no longer limited to an on-prem data center. I talked about Daihatsu and the fact that they've consolidated a multitude of data centers. They now also have the flexibility of being on-prem or off-prem. And the key piece to that is, as the environment develops in complexity and it's just in time, like we've just seen with COVID-19, we've now been changing in a world that's been impacted daily, not yearly, daily. Things change.
Yeah, that's true.
Now our customers can have that data reside on or off-prem, on cloud, off-prem.
Yeah, that's very true indeed. And with that said, where does Commvault come in helping, be it large or small enterprises, in this whole data and transformation and managing and protecting their data? How does Commvault fit in the picture?
So what I am really proud of, Aaron, is when I talk about APJ or Asia, Pacific, and Japan, which is the region that I'm responsible for. What you may not know is in India, so our head office is in New Jersey. We're a US-based company. In India, we have built a center of excellence. So in that center of excellence, it blew my mind. I went and visited it. We have some of the smartest people, not in Commvault, in IT, in the world, sitting up in Bangalore, sitting in Hyderabad, sitting in Pune, cutting code and building our technology for our customers. So when I can get a customer on a call, I can talk about their needs. I can then incorporate into that call an R&D person, a research and development person, sitting up in Pune to actually be on the phone talking about the needs that customer has and how their needs are developing. so we can then factor that into what we build into our next product release. That's very, very empowering. I think it's impressive, but if I'm to speak with humility, it's very empowering for our customers to know that this is how we've differentiated ourselves for the last more than 2 decades. Now, on top of that, a big part of those changes as we continue to bring a market-leading product to the fore is making sure that we bring our customers on that journey. So making sure that we've got a team of people that are educated within their organization and within our partners' organization. I'll give you an example. We have a very large solution provider, right? So that solution provider takes a stack of products, one of which is Commvault, which is their backup and recovery vendor of choice. They then bundle that into a solution that they provide their customer to sell it as a service. That customer has 18 people that are dedicated to Commvault and to understanding our technology. So we are very committed to making sure that as our products evolve and improve, we bring them on that journey, and they then have the ability to ensure that the customers that they are working with that have been trusting them for a long, long time are benefiting from what changes we're making to our technology. You know, it's things like, it used to be, it was simple, Aaron. It was an on-premise app, and it was a 3-tiered application. Now it could be containerized, cloud, it could be native, it could be x86, gosh, it might be Linux. It doesn't matter. We have the ability to talk about how we can bring a bridge between a customer's needs and a technological situation, whether it's existing, legacy, or something they're trying to integrate into their environment, whilst ensuring that that technical team that are already enabled on Commvault become part of that journey. They just become part of our family.
That's fantastic. Okay, before my last question for you, actually, I was just wondering, with all this said and the way the world is changing right now, going forward, how do you see businesses adapting new technology with data growing and all that? Do you think that this adoption and this whole transformation and with increased data changing the way business look at technology, or will they just still focus more on delivering what they have already?
Aaron, you're kidding me. I'm sitting here talking to you. Let me tell you what's going on in my house right now. I'm sitting on the balcony having a Zoom, a go-to-meeting call with you on how technology has changed our world. In the room next door, in line of sight, due to the new allowances that have changed in Singapore, my daughter can have a friend over, right? Her friend is over here. They are online. I can see a laptop, a phone, and an iPad on screen, and they are both children that are working at the Australian International School. In the next room, I can hear my wife doing an F45 exercise class, and she's been using Persil, which is a cleaning agent, 3 kg Persil containers full of liquid as weights. So, and my other son is through another room because it's halfway through his school day with his year 2 class. Our world has completely changed.
That's right. That's right.
Completely changed. So I think it's an incredibly, I mean, data has never been more relevant. And what's amazing is that it's going to be data for the sake of actually imposing change in organizations. So, you know, we have a product called Activate. Activate is the technology that we brought to the market. It dawned on our owners and our research and development team some time ago that as we help customers store data, this becomes one of their most powerful assets. So to take that data, to be able to do analytics around their customers, their needs, the products they're buying, the time they take to buy, the way they want to transact, all of this empowers our customers. So now that we can work with our customers to take the data they've got, and now, by the way, that people actually realize the benefit of that asset, it's a completely changed world.
All right, that's fantastic stuff. All right, Callum, thank you very much for your time, and I hope we had an interesting discussion today. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Great to meet you, Aaron. Thank you very much.
All right.
All the best.
Great.
Stay safe.